Lesson 9-8, tenths and hundredths. In this lesson, we are going to learn that you are also able to write a fraction as a decimal. So what we normally do is we normally write it like we say it if the denominator is one of our place values. So remember, the place values that we typically have are tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So if you read a fraction and it is to the tenth, the hundredth, or the thousandth, you write it like you say it. So let's look at the example of 3/10. So when we read fractions, we would read this 3/10, or 3/10. So you write it exactly like you say it. You have your decimal point, and you put the 3 in the tenths place. So 0.3 is the same as 3/10. If you had an example like 2/100ths, the 2 is in the hundredths spot. So you have to put a 0 for the tenths and a 2 in the hundredths. So you would read this 2/100ths. Pause the video to try a few examples. Write each fraction as a decimal. So for the first one, it is 6/10. So that means you have your decimal point and the 6 goes in the tenths spot. For the second example, it is 7/1000ths. So we have to have a decimal for each of our place values and put the 7 in the thousandths spot. Now if you have a number that's 2 digits, for example 17/100ths, the last number of the digit is what goes in the place value. So this one would be 0.17 because it's 17 and hundredths is read by the last number. So this is like saying 17/100ths. So try this example here on your own. So for this example, it is read 34/1000ths. So we need to have the 4 in the thousandths spot. So then that would mean that the 3 would be in the hundredths and a 0 would need to be in the tenths. So this is written 0.034, or it is said as 34 thousandths. Now, if we have a fraction that does not have a factor of 10 in the denominator, sometimes we can change the denominator to make it one of the factors of 10. So in this example, we have 3/5. So we could make the denominator a 10 by multiplying it by 2. Whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. So we multiply the top by 2 and get 6. So now we are left with 6/10, and so we write that as 0.6. Try this example below. So we need to look at 20 and decide, can we turn it into 10? We can by dividing by 2, but we're not able to divide 7 by 2. So then we decide, well, are we able to turn it into 100? And we can multiply 20 by 5 to get 100. So we multiply the numerator by 5 and get 35. So now we have 35/100ths. So we write it 35/100ths. The last type of fraction that we will see to turn into a decimal is a number that has in the denominator, you are not able to turn it into a factor of 10. So when we have a number that we cannot turn into a factor of 10, we need to then divide the numerator by the denominator. So let's look at the example 1/4. So to turn 1/4 into a decimal, we need to divide the numerator by the denominator. So to do that, the fraction falls over, and so you have 1 divided by 4. Now you can see that 4 does not go into 1 evenly, so we have a 0. We have to place a decimal point with another 0. So I'll place my decimal point at the top. And so now we look at how many times 4 can go into 10, which is 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8, with 2 left over. We have to add another 0, bring down the 0. 4 can go into 25 times. So once you have your even answer, then that is your decimal point for your fraction of 1/4. Pause the video to try a few examples. Turn each fraction into a decimal. So for the first example, you see that we cannot make the denominator a factor of 10, so we're going to make it fall over and divide. 4 cannot go into 3, so we add our decimal points. 4 can go into 37 times, which is 28, with 2 left over. We bring down our other 0, and so we get 5. So 3/4 is written as 0.75. Now we have 1/8. Again, we cannot turn the denominator into a factor of 10, so it falls over. So we have 1 divided by 8. You add your decimal point and your 0. 8 can go into 10 one time with 2 left over. And if you continue this out, I'm kind of running out of room, you should get 0.125 as your decimal for 1/8. Pause the video to complete the lesson review. Make sure you show me this lesson review for verification of watching this video.